We're getting married a lot less, and we're getting married
Later.
Later, yeah. So there was a stat that I found that said, for the first time ever, but people over the age of 30 haven't been married in higher numbers than ever before. So yeah, marriage is getting later and later in people's lives. But I also found this really interesting graph, which I printed out, which shows that there seems to be an optimal time to get married.
Yes, I was just going to mention that there's a window.
So I'll put it up on the screen for anyone that's looking, and I'll put it in the description below. But it essentially shows that if you get married after 30, you're more likely to get divorced than if you got married between 25 and 30.
Right. So there's a sweet spot. So if you get married too young, you're more likely to get divorced. Meaning if you get married sort of under 20, I think it's 22 or 23. But if you get married over, I think it's 28, you have more likelihood of getting divorced.
So the study which I have in front of me by the Institute for Family Studies says there is an optimum age to get married if you want to statistically avoid a chance of divorce. And it seems to be around ages 25 to 30-ish. Someone who marries at 25 is over 50% less likely to get divorced than someone who weds at age 20. Before the age of 32 or so, each additional year of age at marriage reduces the odds of divorce by 11%. However, after 32 years old, every year increases your chance of divorce by 5%. And I couldn't figure out why.
Oh, I think there are several reasons for this. So first of all, I think it's sort of obvious about marrying too young, that you don't necessarily have the skills, you aren't really established in your own life, and you don't necessarily have the maturity to do what you need to do to be in that kind of relationship for the long term. You also don't really know who you are yet. And so you might think that you want a certain kind of life, and you find out your partner wants something very different. But once you get into your mid-20s and even sort of later 20s, it's an optimal time because you have a better sense of who you are, you know more of what you want, and you can grow together as a couple. And I think that's really important. You're going to have more shared experiences. You're going to know more of each other's families. Your parents are probably still alive on each side. You're going to get to know each other's siblings. If you have siblings, you're going to be more integrated into each other's lives. As you get older, first of all, you're more sort of set in your ways. We talked about rigidity earlier. You're more rigid. You have different expectations. I think when you're younger, you're more flexible in terms of just being more open-minded. We get less open-minded generally as we get older around relationship, around the things that we expect. And we also have a history as we get older. So we have more negative experiences of maybe heartbreak, being broken up with, breaking up with people, relationships that didn't work out that then inform the way we behave in our relationships. And I like to say it's almost like we're punishing our current partner for a crime they didn't commit. So if you were in a relationship before where maybe you were cheated on or someone didn't treat you well, then you are less trusting of the partner that you're with, or you're more on guard or more closed off because you're worried you're not going to get treated well. So it's almost like the more dating experiences that you have, some people would think counterintuitively, they would think, if I have more dating experience, then I'm going to be a better partner later on. But often because those were not great dating experiences, sure, you might have learned something in them. But if you have too many of them, it's good to maybe have a relationship or two before you get married. But to have 5, it's harder, right? Because you have all this baggage that you're bringing in, and the other person who's also your age has all this baggage that they're bringing in. And there might also be something, it's kind of like if a fight breaks out in every bar you're going to, maybe it's you, that maybe you are doing something in relationship, and that is why. It's not that you haven't been able to meet someone, it's that you've been pairing up with people in a way that is not really healthy.